Hello guys, so today I'm going to show you my deck list with which I've won the Heroines Cup at my local. Um, the winner card is already gone, I've traded it, and yes, I'm saying the winner card because I only got one. I've won the Nami, my local splitted the other two, the Robin and the Bonney. I guess it was for the second place, and the third card got raffled out, if I'm not being wrong. Okay, so I will show you my deck, and afterwards I'm going to tell you about the matchups I've had. Okay, I'm going to start off with the Bonney Searcher. I'm only running 3 copies. Um, I'll tell you later why I'm only running 3. Then I have 4 of the Scratchman Apu 2Ks. I was thinking about running other 2Ks like the Megalo, I think the name of the card was, that KOs an 8k rested body or less, but I like being able to have a 2K that is searchable off of these searchers. And I think the card is also strong in the format because against your Nami you can rest the girl, the 2 cost. Against blue Nami this card is very clutch because you can rest his search Nami, you can rest his blockers, and yeah. Then I have the Kid Killer Searcher, the 2 cost. That's why I'm only running 3 copies of the Bonney Searcher. I was thinking about running 4 Kid Killer, 2 Bonnies, or 2 Bonnies and 4 of them, but I think the ratio of 3-3 is just fine. I like to being able to search multiple times with the Bonney. If you have a kid out, for example, or if you're playing against Shirahoshi and she doesn't have a body on the board yet. But I also like the Kid Killer, especially in the mirror against your Nami when you're playing, for example, when you're playing on your 9 Don turn a 9 Kosoro and you have no Don open, then you can use this card on a swing and you can reset a Don. And of course, in the mirror, this card is one of the best cards because even if he's playing a Hody, you can still trash this card on his attacks and still being able to use your lead ability. Then we have the 2-cost Rocinante blocker. This card is very strong in this format as well because you're playing, of course you're playing the 8-cost kit, and in a mirror, in some other decks where the leader has an unblockable event, this card is very strong because even if he's swinging 15k in your kit, you can, and this card is rested, you can still use the opponent's turn ability. If a rested character of yours would be KO'd, you can trash this card instead. And this card also works when he's rested. That's why Rocinante is so strong. Then we have the best 2K. I think it's the best green 2K we have overall in the One Piece TCG. It's the Tashigi that can protect your board, your big bodies, your Cavendish, if your cards are being bottom decked, KO'd, unless you're playing against Yuri Nami and she has a Noshiko and then a Red Rock on your kit. That's tough, but I would all time play this Tashigi out because she's just too strong. And I think you never use the 2K for counter unless it's like in the end game when you protecting your board or your life, but on all other times you want to play this card out. Maybe not in the mirror because there's no removal, but against blue, black and even yellow decks. Maybe purple as well, you want to play this card out. Then we have the Uta, 4 cost. I think this card's pretty strong in the normal meta against Emu and other decks, but in the Heroines battle, I think this card is bait. I'm also going to cut the Uta for my next 2 tournaments, because, yeah, just as I said, she's bait. I never played her out. Then, of course, the Supernova All-Star, it's Cavendish. I guess everybody at this point knows what the Cavendish does. It's a staple, of course, especially in the Bonney deck. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about him. Then another 5 cost we have is the 5 cost Carrot. I was considering playing her less than 4 times, but she's just too strong. In the UI Nami matches I've played, the card was super clutch. You can stun the 7 cost Robin that would on KO damage you 1 life, and is an 8k buddy, so pretty rough for Bonney. So the Carrot is pretty strong, and I think all of you should never run her less than 4 times. Another card we have is the 5 cost Bonney. It's a cool blocker, it's searchable off of these 2 searchers. I like the cycle effect of the card. If your hand is full of bricks, you can just use her, even if it's not the best play, even if you could play a, for example, Cavendish, but your hand is bricky, then play the Bonney with the effect, for example, against a deck where you need more counter to protect because it's an aggro deck. You can trash your 2 Hodies if you have them on your hand. You can reset a Don as well with her effect, and then you're able to use your lead ability. Another 5 cost I'm running is the 5 cost Perona. This card won me, I think it won me 2 games. I'll get to it later. The effect is super strong, especially for a deck like Bonney, where your game plan is stalling and always stunning the opponent's board. On play, you can choose up to 2 of your opponent's characters with cost 5 or less, and they cannot be rested until the end of your opponent's next turn. And on KO, you may rest 1 of your cards and play up to 1 character with cost 5 or less. That's why I'm running such an high amount of 5 cost, and you can even play herself. That's why this card is super strong. The only thing you have to worry about with the Perona effect, because the card says character that are stunned cannot be rested, you also won't be able to use your leader ability on those characters. So you might consider that when you play her. Yeah. And now we are going to a next card with a cost of 5. It's the X-Drake. This card I would say is strong because it's a searchable 2k. It's a 5 cost that you can play out with the Perona effect. Maybe even with the Uta if you're playing her, but I will cut her. And you can also rest a 5 cost of your opponent, so that you can also stall him even more. Maybe play him. If you have a Carrot on board, you can freeze the 5 cost. And at the end of your turn, you can set 1 Don card as active, which is also good in the Bonney deck. Now I'm going to talk about the Trafalgar Law, the 6 cost. This card is super strong. The reason why we are also playing 4 copies of the Apu is because of the Law card. When you're playing Law, you can return 1 of your cards to your hand and play up to 1 character with a cost of 5 or less from your hand rested. So if you're 6 done, you can play the Law, return up to 1 of your Apus, play out the Cavendish, rest it, restand 2 done, play out the Kid Killer and still being able to use the ability because of the Kid Killer, or maybe string 6 with your leader, have 1 down up for your ability. You can also play the Perona, stun the board. Maybe you can also play the Bonney, use her ability, so the law is super strong. I'm considering running 4 copies of the law because it's such a strong card. Tempo is everything in my opinion. I also won the 4th match because of tempo. I'll get to it later when I'm talking about the matchups. But the law, I'm still considering running 4 copies of. Now we're coming to the most hated card in this deck, I think. It's the 7 Custodian. Everyone knows what this card can do. Also was a contender for the ban list. I'm running only 2 copies. Maybe I'm going to run 3 copies, but I don't have the space for it. You can see why later on. I'm playing 2 copies of the 8-cost kit. This card is very strong. I think it's the most important card in this whole format. Against almost every deck you want to have him on your hand. This card alone can win you games against Yamato, Yuenami, Boa. If they don't have the removal for him and he sticks on the board for 1 or 2 turns, then it's an auto win. Just as I said, they need to have removal or even minus effects. Against Vivi, it's not that strong of a card, but you can also play him to stall another turn and maybe going for a game afterwards. If this card is your only out, then you have to play him, of course. But against deck like, just as I said, Yamato, even Bellobetti, if he's not seeing the Koala that gives you minus 3000 on your characters, then you're good to go. Against Boa, this card is really strong, because if you're playing him with a Tashigi, they don't have a Noshiko like Yuenami. They need to get rid of the Tashigi 1 turn before, and if, just as I said, if Kid Tashigi is on board and you play Kid with the Rocinante, then it's a GG, because even if he's going unblockable into your Kid, what is he doing? Because you can just use Rocinante. You just need to be aware of the 4-cost pudding. If you have 8 cards on your hand to protect him, they're also going to give you a pudding a lot of times. Maybe I'm going up to 3, but I think 2 is just fine because he's searchable. Then, my favorite card in this whole deck, 9-cost Zoro. He won me 2 or maybe 3 games. One match I baited my opponent with the Red Rock. I knew he had Red Rock on his hand. I baited with playing the Kid and the Tashigi. He gave me a Noshiko into Red Rock, put my Tashigi into my hand, bottom decked my Kid, and afterwards on my next turn I played the 9-cost Zoro, and he was flabbergasted because he didn't expect me to play him, and yeah, this won me the game because he had no out when this card is on the board, no Red Rock left, and that was a GG. Then 1 copy I have the 9-cost Shanks. In this format I think the 9-cost Shanks is bait. I'm going to cut him out and need to consider what I'm changing. I played 9 matches. This card was never good to play, not even once, just like the Uta. It never came out good, or maybe I wasn't even playing him because it was too late, the board state was not good. Not much to say about him. He's going out of the deck. And then I have the 10-cost Don Quixote do Flamingo. This card is very strong. I think this card won me the one of my Vivi matchups, because the Vivi's leader ability says that you can rest her and play 1 character, and this character gains rush. If you have the Doflamingo, the Vivi leader is rested, you're playing him, then whatever she does, she maybe KOs your board, she swings with her other units, and if he's playing out a Shaka and Pel, I think that was his card name, the opponent doesn't threaten us for lethal, so this card is very strong. Just as I said, every card from the 6 cost Lord to the 10 cost Dofi is very strong. If I would say now what cards I'm 100% cutting, it would be the 9 cost Shanks and the 2 times 4 cost Uta. This card will be replaced with the 3 cost Bonney blocker and the 9 cost Shanks, maybe for the Law or the 9 cost Sorrow, maybe even the 10 cost Dofi. And I didn't mention it, but the 5 cost Perona, I only have this proxy. I didn't play with the Don, so no worries. I've borrowed the 5 cost Perona 2 times from a friend of mine. And what is funny, afterwards, after I won the cup, my friend came to me. I was like, you saved me, the 5 cost Perona was so important. Then he was like, yeah, my tournament didn't go as well, but you know what? At least 2 of my cards won the tournament, and that was hilarious, in my opinion. And yeah, so this is 4 times Perona. Now to my matchups. My first match was against Vivi. This was maybe like the toughest game I had. It was a pretty hard matchup. I think Vivi is like a good counter to Bonney if you're playing it correctly. I've seen YouTube videos where the Vivi player swung first and the Bonney rested the leader, and the Vivi wasn't able to use her ability, so that's always wrong. You can always see if the Vivi is a good player or not, or have practiced with the leader a lot of times. Yeah, I think the first Vivi match, the first match of the day, I only won it because I was baiting. I was always swung 5k, 6ks to life. He always gave me 1k counter, block and leader ability, 2ks, and then I dropped my 9 cost Sorrow. And I knew he had like 3 cards in hand. The chance that the 10 cost Shanks is on his end is not much likely, and he didn't play it. Then I swung big numbers with him, reduced him to 1 life, and restanded him. I didn't have the capacity to protect him, so I restanded. If he didn't have a 10 cost Shanks to pop him, I would have won 100%, but he had like 6 cards in hand and the chance was pretty low, but he had it. And at this point it was pretty hard, but I've starved it out correctly. I've played a lot of blockers and then I won the game, but it was pretty close. I think 1 turn more and he would have won, but yeah, I think I played it good. Then the second game was against Bonney. It was a mirror match. I was pretty shocked when my opponent put out his playmat, and I've seen the finalist stamp on the playmat, and yeah, I've had respect for my opponent, but just as always, I'm confident in the mirror and I starved him. I've waited for the Hody, which didn't come. I have not seen the Hody 1 time. He had it 1 time, but also late. But I didn't. I went second, he went first. He had the 3 cost Bonney blocker. That's why I'm going to run 2 or 3 copies of her, because I've seen how strong this card can be. Then he played the Cavendish, then he played, I think it was the Bonney. Then he played the Kit without effect, of course, because you don't want to swing in the mirror unless you have a pretty big board, but even then it's not that good in my opinion. And I've played the 9 cost Sorrow on my 10 Don turn, and he was like, oh damn. He didn't expect the 9 cost Sorrow to be played, and that was pretty good for me. When I played the 9 cost Sorrow, he started swinging into my life. I went down to, I think it was to 2 or even 1 life, and he was still at 5. But no worries, in the mirror, when you have the 9-cost Zoro and you're still being able to play a kit afterwards or stun his board with Perona and so on, you can still win it easily. You don't have to worry about 4-cost pudding, you don't have to worry about the Hody if you have Kid Kill on board to use your ability. If you know how many swings can come, even if he's playing Hody, then it's just a GG for you. And yeah, I won the game, of course. My third matchup was against Yuinami. It was close, but 3-cost Tashigi was on my starting hand, and the rest of my hand was pretty doo-doo butter. But I've managed to win the game as well. I think I haven't seen the 9-cost kit and not even one of these big buddies, but I've played with Tempo, I've played the 3-cost Tashigi, I've played the Kid Killer and the Searcher, then bounced with the Law my Searcher back, played a Cavendish, swung 7 life, then played Perona on his Nami, 7 life with Cavendish with leader. You always swing with Law as well, because if he plays Noshiko and Gravity Plate, he can remove both of them, so you always want to swing with it if you can defend them with 2 and 1 case. I've played with Tempo. I didn't have one of my big buddies, but I had good mid and early game, and this won me the round. Yeah. Fourth game, I played against Vivi. This matchup was much easier than my first matchup. I think it was because I've have seen what Vivi is capable of. I didn't play it against her before. I knew that my tankers would be pretty strong. After reading the opponent's leader ability, I had 1 Cavendish, 2 Peronas at my starting hand, and 1 Tashigi. So I went like Tashigi, Cavendish, 7 lead with my leader, before 6 after playing Tashigi. Then I played Perona on his Vivi and Nami blocker. Then I went 7 Cavendish, 7 leader after playing Perona. He was not able to rest his blocker. Then I played another Perona, 7, 7 and 7 with lead again. I've defended my life like crazy and my board. He had a lot of 2Ks, I need to say. I've always swung 7, just as I said, because I had only this out with my hand. I needed to play aggressive because I didn't have the tankers on my hand, nor one of these cards. I knew that this game need to be over quickly. Sooner or later he's spamming his big buddies and then I lose the game. So I went aggressive in the matchup and it paid off. I need to say I was lucky top decking the tank cost, but even without the tank cost I was still able to win. After seeing my opponent's hand, I would have gone into life again and would have won, as I said, but I played the safe route with the tank cost because you're Bonney. You're always playing safe. You don't have to play aggressive to win when you can play safe and win afterwards. It was much easier than my first 3v matchups. So guys, if you have partners to play with, friends, or even sim to practice on, I didn't have the time, unfortunate, do that, because if you don't know what your opponent's leader can do, then it's pretty hard. And if you are thinking about the matchups a bit more and seeing routes like Perona aggressive or playing tank cost on Vivi leader, then you're good to go, in my opinion, even if the matchup is unfavored. So, and for my last and final game, it was against final game, as in it was the final. It was against Yuinami. It was a friend of mine. One day before, we also joked about dodging each other before the final and playing in the final. It was hilarious that we did it, as we said. And I won the dice roll. It was my first dice roll win of the day. And I played aggressive first with 5-7 swings. On my 9-down turn, I played the kit into Tashigi, rest him, and he can only swing into him. Then he played Noshiko and Red Rock on my kit. He was at 10 don, so Noshiko 2 don, Noshiko 2 don, and Red Rock 6 don. He only had 2 don left. Leader is at 5. He had Nami that is stunned from Carrot. and he had I think maybe it was Perona or it was some other 4-cost card. I don't recall it. And then on my 10-don turn, I played 9-cost Zoro. He was flabbergasted. He didn't expect it. He had no out at this point. He had no ways to remove the Zoro. He just healed himself with the Robin, but it was too late. I went big with leader 7. I think I went 5 leader, 7 with Carrot. Cavendish wasn't on board. And then just went big with my 9-cost Zoro, and I won the game. So yeah, guys, it would be pretty cool to show you my winner Nami, but I already traded it, just as I said in the beginning of the video. And I hope you guys could learn something about the matchups, about my deck list. If you have any questions related to the tournament, to the Bonney decks, the mirror, the other matchups, just let me know in the comments. I hope you guys had fun watching me. Thanks for your time, and we will see you in the next video. Bye bye.